So the January 8th Season 0 patch notes just dropped. Let's go ahead and go through them. A new warped equipment system, our first battle pass, new rank changes, and Beebo makes his debut. Welcome to Season 0, our first season of themed content after open beta launch. As a note, we may not stick absolutely to this theme, but we think it's fun to have creative rappers, so here we are. But before we get to the fun stuff, since this is our first patch back from the holidays, we should talk about how things are going and where we are going with Supervive. Firstly, we appreciate y'all playing and sticking around. Second, while things aren't perfect, we did see improvements over the holidays as measured by hours played, especially by new players, which we attribute to our experimental revival changes, Ascending Armor, and Hunter Mastery Pass. We're going to continue making big changes. We also know that not all of you love the changes that we make, but we hope you agree that the current game, as is simply not thriving, which means we need to take big swings rather than small ones. This is what open beta is for, so expect us to be very experimental as we try to make the game deeper and more engaging. Then it's on to 1.0 launch, and we like what we see. They haven't given an actual date for 1.0 launch, have they? I believe they said second half of 2025, but hopefully they get things tuned up by then. And then we get a nice player resurgence. Now for context on this patch, for stability reasons, we had to prepare most of this patch before the winter holidays, so we haven't been able to act on all the community feedback that's come up over the holidays. For example, we do want to do some balancing on the new revival rules, but since it's a complex system, it's too risky to slam without extensive testing. It's on our mind, however. Please just give us a bit to settle on our rhythm for the new year. Thanks. So they're going to adjust the resurgence system. I do think I heard one suggestion that was really good. I'd be a really big fan of them. Instead of having resurgence, you just have it so respawn beakers are half timer. So teams are griefing each other less in the early game, but you still have the early game. You don't fall as far behind comeback mechanics and whatnot. You don't just get chased around the map as easily. So I'd be a big fan of them doing something like that. All right, Beebo is in the game. Passive Matter Ball. Beebo's Matter Ball lets him cross lava and other hazards safely. He's also 10% lighter than other hunters. Does that mean he gets more momentum? I'm not sure what the lighter does. I'm assuming it's momentum. Bat. Tap to swing Beebo's bat. Hold to charge a powerful swing that deals significant knockback and damage. Zeep Zeep. R&B. Press to fire a Zeep from Beebo's slingshot. After firing, Beebo readies a random shot. Hold to cycle between Zeeps with different effects. Yeah, there's going to be like a giant ass tooltip that comes with this one. That has like all the different effects and stuff that we can't see in the patch notes right now. Unfortunate. You guys will have to see what he looks like when he gets launched. I'll probably be streaming that. That should be fun. The Swoop. Dash forward a short distance and gain a move speed bonus for a short period of time. B-bomb at Q. Press to throw a B-bomb that grows in size and damage over time. Press again to detonate. Tonk Tonk. Drive a cart that picks up enemies and allies. Crashing into a wall deals damage to struck enemies. Recast to hop out early. So it's like some form of CC where you like pick them up and you like pull them back into your team if they get hit by the ult. Okay, so you're like abducting people. That'll be interesting to see how this like actually ends up playing out in the game, but you know, it's kind of weird. That makes it sound like he's an engaged character, but his kit sounds more like a squishy character. And the fact that he says he's lighter than other hunters, that makes him sound like he's a squishy. So we're definitely an engage ult. I'll definitely have to see what this plays like. This just sounds like Void's bomb. Like this literally sounds like the same exact thing. We hear that Brall's windows of vulnerability and windows of opportunity are too fuzzy. So here are some changes to meaningfully increase those windows on his mobility. Calling out the re-addition of knockback, one thing it did was automatically create space when Brall was spamming LMBs on you, which we think helps create space against him. Blazing Spirit dramatically reduced the amount of empowerment Brall gets from damaging creeps. Ooh, so he can't insta-stack off a single stagger. That's nice. And then Caldera Molten Greatsword. Damage has been reduced by 10%, so is LMB. The hitbox width is pulled in by 30%, so it's not as wide. I mean, I guess it's useful for like cleaving multiple people. That is smaller, but against a single target, that doesn't do much. But against multiple targets, it does, so that's interesting. And knockback has been re-added, so this helps create space. Yeah, I was saying that earlier when they did that, it actually felt like it was a Brawl buff, not a nerf. It felt like it was really bad against the range characters for it to have the knockback, so removing it just makes those matchups so much easier. Phase Steel Chain, Q. Cooldown now begins counting down on second activation or chain break instead of when the ability is first activated. Cooldown reduced from 7 to 5.5. I actually like this a lot. This is actually a really good change because what happens a lot right now is he uses the chain and then he just waits. He just waits until it's like 1 second left and then he just goes at 1 second left and he has another chain up. But now if you do that, you're not going to have your chain back up instantly, which is really good. I'm a big fan of this change. I like this a lot. It makes it so he's way more punished for just throwing chains out there. This is really, really, really good change for Brall. And Flame Step now gives a 1.5 second less reduction on level 3, and dodging empowered shots gives less empowerment, or dodging shots gives less empowerment. So they're nerfing his empowerment. It's harder for him to build empowerment. They're nerfing the CDR you get from left shift. Dude, your left shift used to go from 10 seconds to 6 seconds, basically, or 6.5. So now it's going to go 10 to 8. So he's going to have an 8-second cooldown on his left shift to get all 3 charges. That's pretty big. Maybe Brawls are going to have to run Interweaver now for the CDR, which makes it so they're less tanky because they don't have Last Stand. These are I'm a big fan of these nerfs. These are actually like super meaningful nerfs. This is a lot of nerfs too. He might actually be bounced unironically after this. Like, these are huge. This is a huge amount of nerfs. This is what, honestly, they should have done this the first time. I really wish they did nerfs like this the first time. I don't understand why the only nerf was like he can't deathbox wisps, which deathboxing wisps was OP, or getting the reset rather. That was giga OP, but yeah, I really wanted to see stuff like this earlier, but really good to see now. Hey, wait, that's the only balance adjustment? They're not nerfing Oath? Or Myth? Or Jhin? I guess maybe some of the changes in the patch are going to nerf those characters? Interesting. Common point of feedback we hear from players is they often choose the same evolves over and over for equipment. We'd like to add some spice to the system and reward players for thinking on their feet. Boots or equipment now upgrades now have a fourth evolution choice, a warped evolution. Warped evolutions keep the base stats of the item, but have a random passive of any other item in the game, and sometimes come with additional benefits. 75% chance your warped evolution has a passive from any other blue equipment, 20% chance it comes with extra stats pulled from the evolution it got its passive from, and then 5% chance it has a unique legendary passive. Currently, there are 3 legendary passives: Soul Stealer, Glider, and Trailblazer. This is Endless Reaper? Dude, no. I don't want a 5% chance to have Endless Reaper. Please, for the love of God, do not put Endless Reaper on this. Glider boots would also be really broken. Oof, I don't like this kind of RNG in the game. I mean, the game already has like a lot of RNG with like powers and whatnot, but like if you get like one of these and they make like better legendary passives later on, or if this is unironically Endless Reaper, if this is Endless Reaper, I'm going to throw a bitch fit. This better not be Endless Reaper. A big point of feedback we've heard is that gold feels inconsistently valuable, specifically because shops are inconsistently available. And aside from armor, it's hard to plan what kind of inventory they have. We also want farming gold to be an early game skill or strategy that you can focus on in order to get better at the game. So taking our first step with the global shop. This might not be the final shape of how we want to use gold as part of a strategic lever or layer in Supervive, but let's try it out. You can now shop anywhere. The default keybind is V to open up the global shop. You can rebind via remote shop and keybinds. Upon purchase, a delivery pod will be issued and sent down after the requested items. Normal time to drop is 20 seconds, which gets reduced at late game. So the things you buy from the shop are going to be like objectives, and you have to wait in an area for 20 seconds, so you can't just buy it on the spot. It's funny, I come from Eternal Return. They have like basically the same exact system, except the drops are instant, or the stuff you buy is instant. Items purchased by allies while your team has an incoming delivery pod will be added to that pod. Oh, that's cool. So you can just buy a bunch of stuff and have it hot drop to you. Cool. Not hot dropped, Amazon Prime. Every match, 12 powers are rolled to be offered in limited quantities. 8 uncommon powers, 3 rare powers, and 1 exotic power. And everyone can buy it? Global Shop has a smaller set of core items you can always purchase. Hypervive, green blue armor, armor repair kit, repairs 1.5k HP, 3 bars of your shield, and a mobile respawn beacon. Normal shops no longer sell equipment or raw beans. Each region shop has different default powers you can reliably find. Ooh, this is going to be really nice. Because like if they have, for example, maybe like air blast somewhere that you can guaranteed buy, maybe up in like the snow zones or something, that could be really good. Or like guaranteed 2-way TPs that can help with like macro and whatnot. You drop in like KL steps, you get guaranteed 2-way TPs. If there's, is there even a shop there? There's one by mana coils, but you get the point. It'd be kind of cool to play around guaranteed powers like that. So I'd be a big fan of that. The random exotic, I'd see how this is going to work inside of the game and how hard it's going to be to get the exotic. Like how much gold do you need? I don't know if it's weighted or not. If you buy one, then yeah, limited quantities. Does everyone get access to this exotic power? Can everyone in the game get it? UAV sound pulse changes. The main audience for this change was to teach newer players a skill set that's a little foreign in the top-down camera setting. Scouting for sound. Shout out to the music MOBA gamers. That's me. And because it's a new behavior, we had to go a little bit more heavy-handed. On the other side, we hear you that veteran players feel this change is too much free information, and that it invalidated a skill set you've been building on over years of playtesting. Now that the new players are adjusting and using the system, we're toning it down a bit, as well as hitting the most egregious issues where pulses were pinging very quiet sounds very far away. Max range for pulses has been reduced by 20%. That's a total area reduction of 36%. Alright, that's pretty cool. And then pulses within that range will no longer show if they're the lower end of their attenuation range. Will no longer show if they're at the lower end of their attenuation, meaning very quiet sounds will no longer show up if they're at the max range. So distance is going to matter, and like how quiet the sound is relative to you is going to matter. That's cool. I like that change. This is a good change. I do think it was a little bit much, but I do think it's a good system to have in the game, especially for new players. Map objectives, legendaries, and exotics. With these changes, we're trying to inject more variability in the early game strategy of Supervive, while also reducing the amount of exotics floating around in the end game, particularly at high MMR, and adding more clarity / knowability when it comes to high-end rarities. There is now a maximum of 8 to 4 exotics, except modified by a storm shift. Each game, these 4 exotics will be spread out across 2 in evil chests, 1 dropped by the first night boss, and 1 is a global shop purchase. So there are 2 night bosses, right? Does that mean that one of them is guaranteed to drop a non-exotic? So it might drop like a respawn beacon, some sort of legendary. I feel like both night bosses should drop an exotic. So if the change looks like this, which I think looks fine, I think it should be 5 in the game. I'm a fan of having 2 night bosses. I don't like only having 1 night boss. To clarify, we'll list out the ways you can pursue legendary and exotic drops for the game. 2 evil chests, each containing an exotic item. As a reminder, if you get an evil key, both exotics are claimed. The evil key will point towards the closest player with an exotic. 2 night bosses. These will both spawn on the first night and will show a possible reward on the map. One spawns with an exotic and one spawns with a legendary. I don't like that because it's a 50-50 on whether or not you get the good spawn. It's not like you can run to the other side of the map. I don't like that at all. I'd rather both just be exotic. I think this is a really stupid change. Like, you just coin flip whether or not you get the exotic or you get the legendary. That's such a big swing in tempo. Like, imagine the difference between me having an Endless Reaper or me having a Rewinder or an Armor Shredder and me having a respawn beacon. Like, bro, one of them literally does nothing for me the entire game, and the other one straight up wins me the game on the spot. I'm not a fan of this. I'm not a fan of this at all. I'd prefer they have 5 exotics in the game, and both of them drop an exotic, both of the night bosses, that is. Abyssal Vaults. A special vault that holds an Abyssal Scale or Abyssal Eye, legendary power. Can no longer spawn Abyssal Fang, which is now considered an exotic. So if you go to an Abyssal Vault, you only get Scale or Eye. The Scale's like one of the worst exotics right now too. Like, it's a good power, but relative to its like the other exotics is pretty bad. Abyssal Eye is good. It's definitely a good power. Probably not worth. It's definitely not worth the 50-50 to go to the Abyssal Vaults anymore. I would so much rather just drop on armors now. I am not going to be dropping on Abyssal Vaults anymore, I don't think. Train now always holds a legendary armor at the start of the game. Legendary airdrop. A high value airdrop lands on the map at the start of day 3. That's cool. I like that. I like both of these. Okay. Odd zones. Randomly selected zones that hold 2 or 4 legendary armors can now also very rarely roll exotic armors. No. 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 I don't like this. No. No. I don't like this change. I don't like this change. I don't like this change. I think the direction they're moving in is right, but they definitely missed the mark here. This is really fucking stupid. This is a terrible idea. This is a good idea. This is a good idea. This is a terrible idea. And this is a terrible idea. The evil chest is a good idea. Item rarities. Exotic. Replicator. Power Shuffler. Yearbook. We're bringing Power Shuffler back? No. Yearbook? Oh, you can get a yearbook in there? Endless Reaper. Fate Rewinder. Armor Shredder. Mega Cluster Nuke. Blinkstone. Frog Jump. Guardian GA. Delicate Disguise. Abyssal Fang is a legend. Oh no. Abyssal Fang is an exotic. Okay. Abyssal Fang is definitely the worst out of all these powers. Wisp Magnet is now a legendary. Dude. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think Wisp Magnet is like top 5 powers in the game. This thing is so insane. They made it a legendary? That is wrong. Masamune will give you a basic dagger if you die and lose it. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Glider Updraft. I don't know what that is. Oh, is that Wings of or Icarus Wings? Yeah, this thing is terrible. Deploy base camp power. 25k gold. Okay. Mobile Beacon. Okay. Soul Stealer is now a legendary, as opposed to Endless Reaper, which is an exotic. Single T5 armor. I mean, it's all like, I'm looking at this, half of the rolls are bad. Like, bad, bad, bad. I don't know what this looks like, but that looks like it could be good. Bad. Well, this is like not the worst. Yeah, but that's like half the rolls. Half the rolls on this are bad. Stealth. One-off stealth effects like Bushwhacker or Ethereal Smoke are now removed on dash. Active stealth effects such as Mana Cloak are turned off on dash. Always on effects like Scuba, Delicate Disguise, and Night Soul are suppressed for 4 seconds on dash. So based. Oh my god, it's so based. Such a base change. I love it. I hate stealth so much. Thank you. This should have happened day 1 of the game being out, bro. The fact that you can dash in stealth and just insta gap close is so ill. I love this. Stealth is still going to be a little bit annoying, but oh my god, it's going to be so much easier to deal with it. Okay, then they're adding new powers. Dimension Tunnel, Deployable Fan, Instant Fortress, Power Shuffler. You no longer reroll a power to Replicator, and Abyss Specialist now has an eternal cooldown of 30 seconds. So 3 new powers. Power Shuffler is coming back, which I hate this power. Power Shuffler is fucking disgusting. And Abyss Specialist getting a nerf is a great thing. This power was exotic tier. Now is probably right for it to be purple because you only get like 1 reset. This is perfectly fine. This is balanced. Before you just spam your dashes perma, now you have to actually be conscious about when you're using your dash. You just put it on 30-second cooldown, you don't have a power for a while. This is actually balanced. Great change, terrible change, and then we'll have to see these. This is a great change. All right, last few notes. Storm Shifts are adding unstable portals, so you just have the Academy portals basically if you know what those are. 2-way portals will randomly spawn on the edges. Yeah, that's what I said. Berry Season. Frequency of berries spawn in bushes across the map is dramatically increased. The amount that berries heal and restore is also increased significantly. Substantially. This makes Green Thumb OP. Or Berry Eater OP. There are now mini warp anomalies found on the map. Oh, we already saw those earlier. Yeah, so you can like step on something and then it'll like teleport you to a new place. Academy now has a giant warp anomaly that'll teleport you anywhere but there. Ooh. Academy now has the new swamp territory to its right, adding new combat space, and making it so Academy is in play from session to session more often. Academy is a pretty cool zone. I'm down for that. Because a lot of the time the circle closes and you don't get to like hang out around Academy, but I think Academy is a pretty cool space to fight. Pretty interesting in terms of design. So I like this. Glad we get to play that side of the... Dude, I keep hitting my mic. I'm glad we get to play that side of the map more. Scavenger Bay has been expanded into 3 discrete, more grokkable combat species. As mentioned in our Fireside chat last year, we want Battle Pass to be a generous progression track that rewards you for playing, so we're doing a few things to dial up the good vibes. The first is letting you go infinite through what you earn in the Battle Pass alone, as well as free-to-play players getting the ability to get a Battle Pass with enough time, and then go infinite. We also don't want you to feel like you owe us your time if you purchase the Battle Pass, so we're introducing a system called Juiced Experience, where if you're behind the curve of Battle Pass progression, you'll get an EXP buff for your games played to help catch you up. Dude, I hate dailies so much. I love that they add this. I mean, I'm going to be playing daily anyway, like perma spamming, but dailies in games are so toxic. They're actually just the worst design thing ever. And you know why they do it too. They're trying to force you to get in a habit of playing the game, so you keep loading up the game. That's why the dailies exist. This is a good idea. This is like I care about the actual people playing the game rather than I want to psychologically trick people into wasting their time on the game. Because having things like dailies or whatever, the reason why literally every single game does it is because it forces players to build a habit for the game, for playing the game, right? So by not having dailies, by doing it like this instead and letting people have more free time, it's actually more player friendly. So I'm really glad they did it like this. I just want to say, anytime you get baited by dailies in any game you play, just know that. They're doing it intentionally to make you build a habit. Season 0 comes with our first Battle Pass. You can purchase the Battle Pass for 1,000 Theorycraft coins or 300 Vibe points. Every Battle Pass contains a total of 300 Vibe points, letting you purchase the next one for free. We also added VP to the free portion of the Battle Pass, so players can eventually buy the Battle Pass through regular play if they so choose. When you are behind the curve of the Battle Pass progression, you'll get a buffer EXP while you're behind. I love everything I just read there. Progression trackers and seasonal missions. New progression trackers have been added to the lobby UI. Just above your progression trackers, you'll see a button that will take you to Season 0's seasonal missions, which are limited time event missions that grant you exclusive call signs and cosmetic rewards. I don't care too much about this, but I'm sure casuals will, so go nuts. This is what I care about. Ranked. Oh yeah. For open beta launch, we saw folks climbing much faster than anticipated in terms of the rank, so we're implementing a few changes to clamp down on inflation while keeping the rank climb focused on the right actions. Regarding that solo player bonus, we know it's sometimes rough out there as a solo player running into premades, so we're trying a light solution because splitting queues or adding a premade restriction adds to another set of challenges. Finally, for the shift on placement versus elimination points distribution, today we think there's not enough emphasis on mid to late game strategy and want to have a larger impact on your ranked progression. So we're adding values to reflect this philosophy. The big danger is if we go too far is that riding becomes too prevalent a way of climbing, but we'll keep an eye on this. There will be a full ranked reset on this patch. We already knew that. This rank season will last 3 months, until the end of March. I don't know if we knew that. I didn't know that at the least. That's good to know. System changes. Solo players will now gain an extra 5 rank points regardless of placement. Ranked points required to progress between tiers increase from 100 to 200. Ranked point anti-costs will increase by 1 point for every 200 points you have a Grandmaster Plus. As a reminder, last patch we changed the ranked point changes from kills to team elimination, so that placements matter more than kill farming for climbing. Below master rank, you will get extra ranked points if your team gets a lot of kills but no team eliminations in that game. We've rebalanced the distribution of ranked points between team eliminations and placement to weigh more towards placement. Think 60-40 where it was previously 50-50. It was definitely not 50-50 previously because you only got 35 from your placement if you get first or something like that, maybe 40. And you can get like, if you farm the entire lobby, you can easily gain an extra 60 or 70. On the higher ends, you can actually go all the way up to 80, maybe even 90. So yeah, it was definitely not 50-50 before, but the fact that they're changing it is definitely good. Ranked matchmaking will attempt to match you based on your rank in addition to your MMR. This means you will see less rank disparity in your matches. Ranked rewards. Throughout the season, we'll be offering ranked rewards and methods for tracking. Avatars. As you progress through the ranks, you'll unlock avatars that have borders to reflect your highest rank earned. You'll be able to equip and use any rank you want via the avatar selector. Glider. At the end of Season 0, April, will be granting a custom glider based on your highest rank achieved. Leaderboards. You can now filter ranked leaderboards by region or friends. Cool. Chat. Not everyone likes to be on voice, and part of accommodating for that needs to be a better chat system, so we're cleaning things up. Messaging from your group/party will not always play a unique sound when a message is sent or received. Sounds should be louder. Ping send contextual messages to chat. A variety of system messages like day-night cycle messages have been removed to reduce spamminess. And then quality of life changes. Fix a bug that allowed dropped items to be duped by other players. You can drop items on the ground, and whatever you replicate on the ground just ends up replicating everything there. That's funny, actually. Interesting. Wait, they didn't fix the dropping armor thing? Portuguese VO, Japanese text can now emote in pregame lobby to the entire lobby. No, why? Why? Dude, the emotes in this game are so fucking annoying. If they're gonna do this, please add a mute emotes button. I don't want to hear this shit. I really don't. Social requests. Invites and requests to join can now be viewed from the end of game screen or spectating if fully eliminated. Now level up your equipment by pressing Alt plus 1 through 4. You can adjust these keybinds in the settings as well. Good. I should have been able to do that before. I'm glad it's in the game now. I'm surprised it took them a long time to do that. Having to press it manually is really cringe. No changes to day/night 1 revival rules for now. Context. At a high level, our new revival modes are leading to new and solo players being able to survive longer in games, participate in combat, and thereby experience more of the session. As a result, we saw new and solo players sticking around to survive longer, which is obviously a good thing. We also checked survey results, and so far those responses have been positive, so overall, we'd like the change. That said, no system is perfect, and we know there are improvements that can be made. Resurgence is just a deep system that we didn't feel confident putting in changes with the limited testing we had for this patch. So this is context for why no changes are being made now. Alright, my thoughts. I think, we'll have to see what Beebo ends up playing like. Obviously, there's no numbers here, but even if there were numbers, that doesn't really give me a good idea. We'll be trying that out whenever he comes out. I'll mess around with him, see how he feels. Maybe I like him. Maybe I main him. Who knows? Brall Nerfs. Actually meaningful nerfs. I love everything I saw here. They were all great ways to nerf the character. Thank God. Warped equipment. Not a fan of, especially this part, the legendary part. The other stuff, a little bit cringe. No, this is a little bit cringe. I don't know. I don't like this like RNG deciding stuff for you. Not a fan of this. I mean, it already happened in the game with powers, so it's not that big of a deal, but this just seems wrong to me. It seems so wrong to me. You know what I can see? I can already see in a tournament, I just high roll like I don't know, whatever Trailblazer is. I just high roll this, and then everyone's just screwed. And then I also get like that extra stats or whatever. That's so messed up. Global shop, I like the idea of it. Let's see how the execution actually feels and what's inside of the shop as a whole. The UAV sound pulses, big fan of the change. I think actually them having this in the game is a good idea, contrary to what a lot of people will say. I know a lot of people do not like this in the game at all, but I think it should be in the game. It should just be tuned down a little bit. Exotic changes, I like the idea behind it, but the execution was terrible. I am not a fan of the bosses having 1 legendary and 1 exotic spawn. I think this is really stupid. This is a really stupid change. It should just be double exotic and you just have 5 exotics in the game instead of 4. That would just be better. The Abyssal Vault changes are actually disgustingly terrible. I don't know why you would ever go for this over going for armors. It's like a secondary objective for you, I guess, if you're going for the blues. But like, I guess Abyssal Vaults can be way too swingy if you end up getting them and you get like a replicator or something. This just looks wrong. Those powers are so... Abyssal Eye is good. Abyssal Scale is so mid. I'm not a fan of that. I like the train change. I like the airdrop change on day 3. Hot zones. I don't like this. Can also very rarely roll for exotic armors. Do not like this at all. These zones are already giga contested because legendary armor is OP. So like, why would you make it even more OP? It doesn't make sense. This should be removed from the game. This should not be in the game. In fact, they should just delete this from the patch notes. Pretend it never happened. Correct your mistake immediately. Item rarities, they split it up. This makes sense for the most part. I think a lot of these are... Most of these are now about the same power level. The exotics, Abyssal Fang's the worst one for sure. But I think Wisp Magnet probably should have been an exotic. I think this thing is really strong. We'll see how this ends up actually feeling inside of the game. I do like that Soul Stealer is a lower tier than exotic as well, because where is it on here? Endless Reaper is insanely overpowered for an exotic. If you got this, it's like GG, and if you get Soul Stealer, half the time you don't even like. I would rather have a Last Stand than a Soul Stealer, for example. I'll take this anyway for the tempo, but this item is ill. Stealth, we like the changes to this, removing it on dash, great change, love to see it. Powers, we obviously don't have information on this yet, so can't speak. Power Shuffler, no longer roll into Replicator. I think Power Shuffler just shouldn't be in the game, not a fan of it. Biz Specialist, the nerf to this actually is sensible and makes a Biz Specialist legitimately tuned well. So I like this. Storm Shifts, we already played with this one in scrims and it feels fine. And then Berry Season, it doesn't really change much, so whatever. This stuff all sounds fine. I mean, this is just anywhere but here. Who cares? The progression, I love to hear this. Free-to-play players can get the full progression of the Battle Pass because you get the vibe points from the actual completion on free-to-play itself. So you don't have to spend money to get the money back. You just get it for free. That's good. The rank changes, this is a good start. I still would prefer if there was a cap on whether or not you can stack in higher elos. I don't want to see 4 stacks of players in Grandmaster. I don't think that's good for the game. But as the game is now, I'm probably going to be 4 stacking myself. We'll see. Chat changes are nice, I guess. Probably still not really going to chat much because I don't care enough. Ranked rewards, that's cool for players who care about it. I don't. QoL changes. Practice mode now has exotic powers and souls. Ooh, I like that. I can mess around with Blinkstone. This is the biggest quality of life change where you can level up your equipment now using Alt 1 through 4. Hopefully, this lets you actually... Oh, no. This is just selecting the equipment, right? Yeah. This lets you select the equipment when you actually have the thing up because you could already level it up before. So they technically mistyped on here, but that's fine. We get what they mean. And then in the future, they're going to change how Resurgence works, but they do like Resurgence as a mechanic, which I like Resurgence as a mechanic too. I just think it's a little bit too much right now and definitely need some tuning. Once again, I really think the idea of having it so respawn beacons are unlimited on day 1 and they only take half the time to respawn is the best way they can handle it. Because it teaches players to go to the respawn beacon. It makes it so everyone isn't just running around and fighting like a dumbass because you can get punished for it. But if you end up losing a fight in the early game, it's less punishing, meaning you can take those fights and it doesn't feel as bad if you lose. So I like that. I think that's a good middle ground. That's what I would do personally, or where I would start at least and see how it feels. Anyway, I guess that wraps up the patch notes. I will be live on the actual patch drop. I don't think they've announced when the actual patch will end now, and there's always going to be like technical difficulties or whatever, but you can check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/Rhinne.